What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right. So shout out to Black Reality TV for posing this question. He asked me this yesterday. He asked me, do I think that the Wizards are they for real? And I hadn't really thought about it, man. I hadn't really thought about that team. Last night they beat the Orlando Magic. They have a 9-3 record. Um, that's I don't know if this is at least the best start they've gotten off to since at least the John Wall, Bradley Beal years, at least, maybe even better than that. This isn't normal for the Wizards. Um, this just isn't. It's just not normal. Like they aren't usually talked about as one of the best teams in the NBA. I can't think of that. I can't think of a time when they had a record that great. I'm really thinking like not even when Chris Webber was there. Definitely not the Jordan years. Gilbert Arenas, when John Wall and Bradley Beal were doing their thing like 4 or 5 years ago, um, they may have been close. But I'm gonna tell you something even about those teams. Even with those teams, you still never got the impression that they were going to be a force. Yeah, they can go to the playoffs. They might get out of the first round, but you knew that team wasn't going to go far. Um, to be honest with you, the Wizards have not been a force in the NBA since the 70s. Surprisingly, the Wizards, who of course back then were known as the Bullets, they became the Wizards after the 96-97 season. And I hated the name change. It took me until the Jordan era for me to really start calling them the Wizards. I kept calling them the Bullets because it's a better nickname. But anyway, in the 70s, the Bullets went to, I believe, 4 Eastern Conference Finals. They went to 4 Eastern Conference Finals. 1971, 1975, 1978, and 1979. But a lot of shit was strange in the 70s. The Houston Rockets used to be in the Eastern Conference. The Cleveland Cavaliers were in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Cavaliers were in the Eastern Conference Finals in 19, I think, 76. So there was a lot of strange shit going on in the 70s, man. But anyway, uh, they're 9-3. I think that this team could potentially be like what the Atlanta Hawks were last year because there's no pressure on them. Um, no one is anticipating this team to, you know, do much of anything. Maybe go to the playoffs. Maybe that'll be great because the Wizards uh, level of expectation, the fans, is so low that going to the playoffs, going to the playoffs, uh, is great. It's great. Getting out of the first round would be a celebration. Now, Russell Westbrook was able to put this team on his back and go to the playoff tournament and get to the playoffs. But it had to take going to the tournament. If it wasn't for the tournament play, I don't think they would have qualified. Can this team do something like what Atlanta did, which is make a run, go deep in the playoffs, pass the semis to the conference? And I don't think they will, but you never know, man. You never know at the end of the day until they play basketball. Um, I would think though, for them to make a run, they would have to build up a lot of wins and rely on their home court advantage. And they do have players on this team with chips on their shoulders. Spencer Dinwiddie, okay, and I must apologize. I forgot that he was no longer on the Brooklyn Nets. It slipped my mind, and I apologize profusely for that. Please don't bring up articles of impeachment on me to remove me from YouTube for for committing such a crime as forgetting that Spencer Dinwiddie is no longer with the Nets. But Spencer Dinwiddie, of course, he's a guy that was originally on the Nets team. That was just a forgotten player. You know, and he's been traded there. He has something to prove. Montrezl Harrell definitely has something to prove. Right now, he's playing better than he did when he won Six Man of the Year award 2 years ago with the Los Angeles Clippers. And he talked about how he was frustrated playing with Frank Vogel, under Frank Vogel, and he was mentioning how the Lakers are getting killed on the boards, and he's just sitting there on the bench like, Frank Vogel, like, why am I here? Because toward the end, as we remember, last year, Montrezl Harrell was kind of essentially X'd out of rotation. Um, Cal Kuzma. Cal Kuzma, a couple of years ago, averaged 19 points a game. But is often the case with a player that plays under the LeBron system, that third guy often struggles. Going back all the way to LeBron's first stint with Cleveland, um, you know, it's like always that third guy just sort of struggles. And it's always a guy that's used to having the ball in his hands. Whether you're talking about a guy like Larry Hughes initially, later on, I remember Antoine Jameson struggling. Um, of course, Chris Bosh infamously struggled. Kevin Love, and then Kyle Kuzma. So, um, Kyle Kuzma's been playing very good lately. He essentially won the ball game for them against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I thought that game was over. So he's been playing very well. This is the best he's played since that year. He averaged 19 points a game. Um, and of course, Bradley Beal, now he can't argue that he doesn't have help now. You know, my only issue with Bradley Beal, just from the few games I've watched this year with the Wizards, I wish he, I wish he had better shot selection. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I don't like about his game. When you look at Bradley Beal's shooting percentages from three, he's not Klay Thompson. He's not Steph Curry, a guy that shoots well over 40% from three, or at least close to 40%, even on a bad year. I wish he took fewer threes because he's more of a 34, 35% three-point shooter. My same problem that I have with Luka, guys who are shot jacking from the three-point line and they're not really great three-point shooters to justify that. The only thing about it is, that Dallas is winning, Washington's winning, but I wish Bradley Beal would mix it up more in the mid-range. Maybe even take it to the basket a little bit more. Um, but I think he settles for three too much. But then again, that's a league-wide problem. Every year, the NBA establishes a new record as far as teams' three pointers per game. Every year it's going up. I remember a couple years ago I was saying, wow, man, these teams are taking 27 threes a game. Then the next year was 29. The next year was 31. The next year was 32. The next year was 33. Then last year was over 34. Now it's almost 36 three-point attempts per game, per team, not combined, per team. That means both teams are yakking up 70 fucking two three-pointers a game. That's ridiculous. I remember when the Houston Rockets in 98 were an anomaly. 97, actually, 97, 98. They were an anomaly because they were taking 23 three-pointers a game. That was like unheard of back then. They'd be on the low end now. They'd probably shoot the fewest in the league. So that's the only thing about today's game I still don't like is all these threes, man. It takes away the excitement of it, man. It's sort of like the home run in baseball. These guys, all these guys have learned about exit velocity and launch angle, and everybody wants to hit home runs. And it takes away from the excitement of it because it's so frequent now. It's sort of like seeing a big ass on a white woman. It's so frequent now. The taboo, of it is gone. It ain't like back in the '90s when you saw Jenna Von Oy on Blossom, and you're like, oh my God, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Is this a white woman with a big ass? Well, at the time, a white girl, but I could get away with it because I was 11 years old at the time. You know what I'm saying? you know, looking at Kirstie Alley on Cheers, like, oh my God, it's a white woman with a big ass when she turns around. But now it's everywhere. Oh, okay. Yeah. What else is new? But yeah. But anyway, in a nutshell, I think it's possible this team could make a run. Um, Realistically, I think that they can get to the playoffs. I do think that this team is very prone to having an up and down season. Um, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how many games this team is going to win, but I would make the guess that they'll probably finish something like uh 9-3 start. They're probably going to have stretches where they do falter a bit. Um, I'm just going to guess that this team wins under 50. I think they're going to win something like 40. I'm just going to go with 46 and 36 because I just think this team's going to go up and down. But in today's NBA, that record shit don't mean a lot. It doesn't mean as much as it used to because you got so many teams that just blow leads or have flat performances at home. So the record thing doesn't mean as much, in my opinion, as it used to. But tell me what you guys think.